Pro football is very demanding. There's a lot of good players, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of people who don't want you to do well. There's more disappointments than there is success. I was always ahead in terms of technical ability. When I got to probably 7, 8, 9, then it started becoming very serious. So I probably did have a bit of imposter syndrome at the time. But obviously you've got to eat right, train hard, you've got to be mentally strong. The competition was very intense. So when I made that 11, that was a proud moment of mine. At that age, it's quite a daunting experience. A lot of challenging racial experiences. 2-0 down, scored the first goal, scored the second goal, assisted the winner. And then as soon as I did that, I knew I was getting signed. Asian countries, they think that this is like Sunday League. I think everything's just about being realistic, really. Then you can't be disappointed. Doing well in football can bring you substantial money, which can help you have a better future. So I guess that kind of answers that question, but also just for the moments as well. You know, being able to play in front of a crowd. I think success for me is getting up every day, you know, able to be healthy, being able to train, being able to enjoy good moments on and off the field.
This is Big Shot TV YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.
We're joined today by a former West Brom academy player who also spent time with Cagliari before becoming a professional at Peterborough United. His journey through different football cultures gives real insight into what it takes to make it into the game. I appreciate you coming here, Kobe. For people who don't know you yet, who are you?
I'm Jae Chong, 24-year-old professional, somebody who's have a lot of insight, a lot of different experiences in the game, outside the game, but that's who I am.
All right then. Did you say you're 24?
Yeah.
And where are you from?
Brom.
Okay, what's your background?
So my background is my parents, my dad's side are Chinese Malaysian, and my mum's side is Jamaican, but we were all born in England. So.
Okay, you were born in England?
Yeah.
Okay then. Yeah. How would you describe your football journey in one sentence?
My football journey in one sentence, I'll probably describe it as a learning experience.
Okay.
But something that's matured me and shaped me to the person that I am today.
You started playing football at 3 years old. How did that even happen?
So, my mum obviously wanted to take me to do different things. And then I went to a local leisure centre, which is where I met one of my first coaches. And I was younger than everybody else at the time. So I was training with guys who were like 7, 8, 9 years old. But just learning the touches and stuff. And it was something that I did most days after school, and then going from there on to where I am now. Yeah.
What do you remember about those early days at the leisure centre?
What I remember about those days is obviously getting there and people thinking, why is this kid here? Like, he's too young. And my mum just, you know, watching me play and stuff, and the coach who used to let me train, even though I probably shouldn't have been because I was too young. But that's mainly my memories from those days.
Yeah, you mentioned that you played with kids that are around 7 to 8 years old. How were you against them?
I think from the memory in my head, I didn't get too involved in terms of contact training because I was still young, but I was doing a lot of technical stuff, but I always wanted to get involved. A very charismatic kid, a lot of energy.
Yeah, were you always ahead technically compared to the other kids?
I would probably say at 3 years old, probably not, but as I started to develop more into my older child ages, then I became technically more advanced than others,
Yeah. All right, and you also played futsal for a few years.
Yeah.
How did that shape you as a player?
I think futsal shaped me very well as a player because I got to learn how to manipulate the ball better than others, which is why I'd say my technical ability is quite high. And it's helped me learn how to play a lot of football on the floor as well.
Yeah. Do you think futsal gave you an edge technically compared to other players?
Yeah, 100%, especially when I was younger as well. And people weren't as developed. I was always ahead in terms of technical ability. But it was when I went into the professional game where I had to learn more tactical stuff.
And how old were you at this time when you was playing futsal?
I probably started playing futsal, I'd probably say around 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then I've played futsal up until I was, off the top of my head, till about 17, 18.
Okay. And at that age, did football already feel like your thing, or was it just fun?
I'd probably say at 3 it was probably just my thing. No, sorry, at 3 it was probably just for fun. And then when I got to probably, I played 7, 8, 9, then it started becoming very serious.
Okay. And when did West Brom first come into the picture?
West Brom came into the picture when I was around 9 years old.
Yeah.
So one of the scouts who's recently just passed away, Steve Hopcroft,
Okay.
he spotted me at the futsal. So there used to be a futsal arena in Birmingham, which is near Nechells. And I used to play there with the Futsal Brasilia team, which is an academy that my dad and a few of his friends made. And then he spotted us, and then we used to play friendlies against West Brom and other academies in the Dome. Do you know the Dome at West Brom? Yeah.
Dome, yeah.
And then he would like come to my house and try and get me to sign and stuff, and that's kind of how I got into West Brom.
How old were you? How old was you? Did you mention that?
Yeah, probably 9, 10 years old.
9, 10 years old, okay. And what did it feel like telling your family you signed for Premier League football club? At the time, they were Premier League, weren't they?
My parents were quite involved at that age, so I think they did a lot of the signing bits and made most of the decisions, really. I didn't really have a choice on where I was going. It was more my parents at that age. So
Okay. All right then. And what was academy life like day to day? Can you talk to me through the schedule of how it was?
yeah, obviously it was quite a while ago in terms of West Brom, but when I was that age, you'd obviously be at school every day. And then you'd do sessions on the evening, I think 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then from what I can recall, on a Thursday or Friday, you do day release, which is where you leave school at like 1 o'clock and then you go and train at the academy. And then you play obviously on a Saturday.
Did you train every single day?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And did you feel like you belonged there at the time?
I'd probably say no, because I was still a futsal player.
Okay.
And I wasn't as developed or tactically aware as the other players. So I probably did have a bit of imposter syndrome at the time. But as I kind of got a bit older, then I developed into a better player, which helped. But yeah, I'd probably say I didn't feel.
Can you tell me about the professionalism and the way you had to carry yourself at such a young age?
Yeah, I think at that age, my dad was very involved, so a lot was kind of off his methods, really. But obviously, you've got to eat right, you've got to train hard, you've got to be mentally strong, you've got to face a lot of disappointments. Those are the things I'd probably say.
In the academy, how intense was the competition?
The competition was very intense. I was with an age group with a lot of talented players who have gone on to do quite well. So yeah, it was very competitive. Like, I thought I was good at the time, but it was a bit of a rude awakening when I went there.
Okay. And what was the difference with the players? Like, what changed? What was the difference between you and the players that made you feel like you were at the same level?
I think I was still used to being the main player and the futsal player who takes a lot of touches and dribbles a lot, whereas they had already learnt when and how to pass the ball and when's the right time and diagonal passes and, you know, stuff that kind of comes into your game at a later age. They had it already boxed off, so I had to learn how to develop very quickly.
Yeah. And what would you say was your best attributes that you had that made you a special player? Would you say it was passing, vision, or your dribbling?
I think confidence, dribbling, skills, ball manipulation.
Yeah. They're the top 3 that you would say?
Yeah.
Okay. And when playing and going through the years, did you feel like the club generally had a place for you, a plan for you?
So I was there for up to 2 years at West Brom. I felt like when I first went in, they did. I feel as time went on, I didn't develop as fast as I probably should have, which led to kind of, they have an 11 who were kind of the prioritised players and then another 11 who were kind of players they're kind of making decisions on and can they get to that next level, which near the latter stages of me being there, I was probably in the second team, but then I started to improve. But yeah.
Yeah. And when you got released, how did that conversation go?
I think it was quite straightforward, really, because I actually wasn't at the club for the last 2 months of my registration there because my dad accepted a trial offer in another country. So it was pretty much expected, to be honest.
So you seen it coming?
I'd probably say so, yeah, because my dad didn't make the club aware of anything that was going on, and it's not really a professional way to act, really. So
your dad didn't like the way that was going on?
I wouldn't say he was fond of it, but I wouldn't say he wasn't happy. It's more of a thing where he's always used to me being kind of the number one player. So
Yeah.
some people don't know how to act in those situations.
And how did that affect your confidence?
I think it knocked my confidence because I couldn't really get up to the levels that I felt were required. And obviously having a dad who's quite pushy and kind of lives football through you, then yeah, it can become a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you've questioned yourself during this time?
Yeah, when I was at West Brom, I think, like I said, I didn't really feel like I belonged there, so my confidence was very easily knocked. But that's part of high level sport. So.
Yeah. And after West Brom, how did you end up at Kidderminster Harriers? Is that the next club you went to?
Yeah, so after West Brom, I went back into playing futsal. And then I had a year and a bit, just stopped playing and just focused on school and just life and stuff. And then I got back into playing on a Saturday, which was with Kidderminster Harriers. And I would train there on I'd probably say like a Tuesday and a Thursday night.
Was this in the academy system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in their academy system. Yeah, so that's how I got there.
How does the academy system, how different was it from West Brom to Kidderminster?
I think it was different because obviously now I'm coming up to the age of 13, 14. So like everyone's kind of starting to get a bit physical. As players of obviously different levels of, different stages of their career. But I'd say I was kind of getting back to being my best there because I was probably the main man there in terms of ability.
Yeah. And what was your mindset going into that period?
I think I can recall when I first actually went there back in the day. I remember kind of training because I didn't sign straight away. I had to obviously trial and stuff. I was quite raw but very physical and very capable. And I remember just going into sessions full of confidence, kind of trying to find my feet again and kind of trying to get that, that cutting edge back that I had before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of...
Yeah. And how long was you at Kidderminster Harriers for?
I was at Kidderminster Harriers, I'd probably say I spent 2 seasons there.
2 seasons,
Yeah.
Okay. You made the best 11 in the league nationally. Did that feel like a validation at the time?
Yeah, I'd say that was a proud moment because those are the kind of ages where clubs will start looking at players again in terms of scholarships and, which player can they kind of grab and put into their full-time system. So when I made that 11, that was a proud moment of mine. There was a few good players in there who have gone on to do all right. So yeah.
How is the best 11 league nationally? How is it like, how can I say, how is it judged?
So in the Junior Premier League, they do like ratings on games, how many goals you score, how many man of the matches you get. Then they would have some scouts who would kind of watch certain games and get gauge of which players are kind of performing and stuff like that. And then what they did is they had like a camp where they brought all the best players in. Then you go and play and train there, and then they'd make a final decision.
Yeah.
Kind of like the NFL, and they get everyone together.
And what do you class yourself as? Like, are you a forward, or you're a midfielder?
I'd probably say wide player. I was definitely a wide player back then. Yeah, I played wide.
Okay.
Played out on the wing then. Yeah.
Did that season remind you of who the player you was?
Yeah, I think it did because I was doing very well, which then started to attract interest from some fairly big clubs. So yeah.
Yeah, and what kind of club were you looking at you at that time?
So after the JPL day where I went to, we played in Southampton, which was to showcase the best team. I had Fulham, so they wanted me to come in. I remember, I think I went back to Birmingham City for a few weeks as well. And then my dad had a few connections abroad. So I went back to Sporting Lisbon. I went there for a week or 2, but I wasn't at the level again. That was, obviously that's like some of them lads probably Champions League players now. So I was probably behind in terms of development. And then the week after I went to Sporting, I went to Cagliari, which was through a friend of my dad's who knew coaches there.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to get to that. But first, I want you to say, can you talk me through the Fulham trial and how that came about?
So with the Fulham trial, it came about, I think they did some scouting on me and, had a look at me and noticed me playing obviously in the MJPL, sorry, not the MJPL, the Junior Premier League Showcase team. And then they invited me in, but we didn't actually end up going in there because we had these other offers. So.
Okay, so how long was you there for before you changed? How long was you trialing for?
So I trialed at Sporting for 2 weeks, and then I think I was at Cagliari for probably 2 weeks as well.
Okay, you know, at Fulham, did you get any feedback?
With Fulham, we actually didn't end up going in.
Okay.
Because my dad made the choice to not go there.
All right, and how did the Sporting Lisbon trial ever happen?
So obviously I went there at the back end of my West Brom stint when I was about 11, and it didn't work out. But they kept an eye on me, and my dad would always send footage over, and then they said, "Oh, why don't you come over again?" And it was like that.
Yeah. And what was it like going abroad for football?
I think it's, at that age, it's quite a daunting experience. I mean, it's quite a lot to kind of, you know, pack your bags and, you know, you're staying in a random place, and you know your kind of life is kind of on this trial,
yeah,
quote unquote. So yeah, a lot of pressure, very hot environment. Probably wasn't anywhere near the level at the time in terms of fitness levels. But yeah, probably a very challenging experience.
Was it okay? And was this your first time abroad?
So my first time abroad was obviously when I first went to Sporting when I was about 11.
Okay.
But this was my second time there. So.
And how old was you on your second time?
I was 15.
Yeah. Was there a difference in like in the trials?
In terms of Cagliari and Sporting?
Yeah.
I'd probably say Sporting, yeah. It was very demanding. A lot of running, a lot of players coming from Africa and countries like that who were very physically capable. With the Cagliari trial, lads were kind of less physical but very mature in and out of possession. But I thrived at the Cagliari trial probably because of the back end of the physical challenge I had at Sporting. I was then fit and ready to go.
Yeah.
So when I went to Sporting, when I went to Cagliari, I did really well.
And was the system completely different from both teams then?
Yeah, it was different. I think being in Italy, obviously there's more of a tactical focus. And then in Portugal, it was more physical and more physically demanding. And
so why do you think it didn't work out with Sporting Lisbon? Would you say the physicality of the sport at the time? I
think a number of things. I probably weren't physically at the level. I probably weren't fit enough. I probably wasn't actually technically good enough. You know, to jump from Kidderminster Harriers to Sporting Lisbon it's
top, yeah. It's a high class level, yeah. It is, yeah. Would you have wanted to be picked by Fulham or Sporting Lisbon?
I think looking back on it, I wouldn't have minded to have a look at Fulham because it's a good academy. That's kind of one of my regrets that we didn't end up going there. The reason we didn't go there because my dad used to work till quite late, and they used to start around 6:45. This is just off the top of my head. And the day we actually planned to go down, he finished late, and then we kind of already had options. So he just said, "Look, we can't get down there because it is quite far, to be honest."
Yeah.
And yeah.
You see, going through these clubs, yeah, did they ever explain why you don't get signed?
I think at that age they don't really communicate to the player on why they're not getting signed.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of work that out for yourself as you kind of grow up a bit. And you kind of know when you're performing and when you're not. So.
Okay. And how did the move to Cagliari come about? Do you mind elaborating more on that?
Yeah, so the move to Cagliari came about because my dad had a friend so my dad runs a dancing company, and it's like Anglo-American dancing and stuff like that. And he had a friend who knew one of the coaches there. So he sent my footage over and they was like, yeah, come over. And then went over there, trained for a week or two and did really well. And then I kind of knew I was signing after my performances.
Okay, how important is getting footages of your matches to give you opportunities? How important is it, would you say?
Yeah, I think getting footage of your performances is really important. At any level that you play, it's always good to have a record of kind of what you've done. As stats and league positions can be very false. So it's always good to take accountability of kind of where you're at.
So you was in Cagliari, Italy for around 2.5 years, did you say? And was that the biggest risk you've ever taken in football, would you say?
I'd probably say yeah, because we kind of jumped into something that we didn't really have any knowledge about. There was no agents involved. Yeah, I'd probably say so, yeah.
And what was life like living in Italy?
It was challenging. They're not very culturally up to date over there. The lifestyle is very different. You know, supermarkets will shut at like 4 o'clock. Sundays they'll shut at like 11. Obviously very hot conditions. Very hard to kind of fit in there as somebody of colour, if I'm being honest. A lot of challenging racial experiences, but kind of things that you learn to understand as you grow up with it.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, I mean, some of the kids are obviously quite ignorant towards people who don't look like them, which probably affected me at first, but I've kind of learned to brush that off. But obviously challenging experiences, you know, jealousy and people seeing someone better than them coming into the dressing room and he's not like them and stuff like that. But at the end, it was all good. But at first, you know, kids don't know how to act.
What about the language barrier?
Yeah, language barrier was tough. The first year I went to school there, I just slept every day in class because I couldn't understand the language, but I had to go to school in order to sign there. But then I started taking private tutoring, and then by the second year I was speaking.
Okay. So what, do you know a bit of Italian right now?
Yeah.
What can you say right now?
Ciao, sono Kobe. That means, hi, I'm here. Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Kobe. Yeah.
Okay, all right then. And how different was the football culture compared to playing for West Brom?
I think the coaching, the first year I had, when I went on trial, I had a different coach to when I signed, which was a bit frustrating. But the coaching was very tactically, there was a big tactical focus on positioning and, you know, when the ball's here to move there. And, you know, it's kind of like a drawing board and chess and all that stuff. But in England, it's very different. It's just, you know, in England, it's more just that, especially at that age, it's not as tactical, whereas there it was very tactical.
And how old was you?
I was 15.
15. Right. And what suited you best, would you say? Would you say West Brom or?
I think Cagliari was a good experience, to be honest. I didn't play as much as I should have for certain reasons. Meaning, first year I wasn't eligible to play because I didn't have Maya. So when you're under 15 and you move country, you have to get something that verifies that you're not moving for football, because they don't want kids kind of having agents and then moving them to other countries and, you know, all safeguarding. And it's something to protect, like, you know, like African vulnerable kids who get like sold a dream from an agent and then they end up just in Italy, like.
Yeah. So
you have to make sure there's like a 5-step process in terms of, has the parent moved for football or is it for work? So you have to say it's for work, and then you have to verify different things, like you have to go to school. You know, there's like different checklists that you have to kind of tick off in order for you to sign. So unfortunately that wasn't explained to us when we first went. So I missed like half a season where I couldn't play any games, which was obviously disappointing.
Yeah. And what was the most memorable goal or moment at this level that still lives with you today?
I think my most memorable moment was probably my last year there. So we had the same manager from the first year, not the manager who I trialled with who signed me, but the first manager of the first year. He stayed on the second year. And then we had a friendly against the first team in the stadium where I scored against a keeper who still plays for Italy now. So yeah, it was a good moment. Yeah.
That's the best, that's the one.
Probably so, yeah.
Okay. So you stayed there for 2.5 years, but you didn't end up getting your pro. Why do you think that is?
In Italy, they don't really give out pros. It's not like England where they have to give a pro by 17. Whereas here, like, you can't play in an academy unless you're on a third-year scholar. You can't really play in an academy after the age of 17. You have to be a pro. But I'd say my game time was very limited. As the previous coach in the first year, I didn't feature for half a year, and then he kind of found his best team, and then we had him in the same second year, and I kind of struggled to break into his plans, that's just part of football, really.
Yeah,
so,
it is, yeah. Do you ever feel like you was forgotten over there? Like, what about your friends? Like, did you keep in touch with your friends?
Yeah, I kept in touch with a few friends. Obviously, it's difficult because everyone's got their own life and you're kind of over there, but I kept in touch. I tried my best to keep in touch. But yeah, it's obviously different back then as well. So
this part of your journey, it became another disappointment. Did you ever feel like quitting at this time again? Was you motivated to carry on and push?
I had a lot of mentally challenging moments in terms of, touched the mic there, but in terms of because our team were based on an island, so our away games, we'd have to catch the plane for every away game. So there was challenging times where I wasn't probably even coming off the bench, but we was having to get a flight maybe on the Sunday, and then on the same day get a flight back, getting back like midnight, or stay over the Saturday, and then you're getting back on Monday morning, and you've probably not played. And at that age, it's obviously you don't really know how to process that. And sometimes my dad used to get on the same flight as us to get to watch the game, and then I wouldn't play, and then he'd be on the flight back, and stuff like that's not necessarily a.
So was this a hard moment for you mentally? Club, yeah.
100%.
Okay. Would you ever go back? Would you ever like go back and play there again if you had a chance to?
I play obviously for the right club in Italy, probably yes, but for the culture and the lifestyle there, probably no.
So now you came back to England. How did you feel emotionally when you come back to England?
Yeah, I mean, coming back to England was obviously, well, I obviously come back home, but it was a difficult situation because I didn't really know what to do next with the football, because I never had an agent, I never had anyone helping me. So yeah, that was challenging. Yeah, it was challenging.
Did it feel like a step backwards?
I'd probably say so, yeah, because I never had anything lined up. Whereas going back in the knowledge that I know now, I should have probably had 2 or 3 clubs lined up to go straight back in with, coming from where I came from. But yeah.
So where was the first team that you went to when you came back to England?
Off my memory, when I came back initially, I'm sure I came to the football college that we met at.
Yeah.
To keep training.
Solihull Moors.
Yeah. So I went there. But at the same time, if I remember correctly, so I did a year there. And then...
Yeah, because I think you came on the second year, innit?
Yeah. So I did a year there. And I think in that season I went into Warsaw. That didn't work out. And then after that, in the summer after that, I went to Huddersfield, did well there, but didn't get anything. Then I went to Brentford, did really well there. And they said they was offering me something, but it didn't materialize, unsure why. And then after that, I think I stayed on the college again.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember a time you was going through trials before you came back to train with us.
Yeah.
So you was trialing with Huddersfield, who else? Brentford.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That was the 2 teams, okay. Yeah. And how did Solihull Moors like reset you? Going back to that.
I think Solihull Moors was a difficult experience because it's very hard to kind of drop to that level when you've been playing with players who are now kind of playing at a high level. It was a very different experience, missing the ages of 15 and 16 in England. There's a lot of cultural advancements that people make. You become a teenager. I've kind of missed that stage, so kind of trying to fit in and socialize was probably quite difficult. But I'd say it reset me in terms of realizing that this is kind of where I'm at now, which wasn't necessarily the most comfortable thing to digest.
Yeah. With
my ability, but yeah.
But did you feel unmotivated at this time?
No, I've always been motivated, but it was more a thing where I knew I was probably too good to be there.
Yeah. I would say so. I think you was definitely too good to be there, because what I noticed about you was your awareness. And this is my next question. What did it change? See, going through Sporting Lisbon, all these different trials, what changed about your game?
I think I obviously naturally improved physically, mentally. My decision making was quicker. You learn kind of, you grow in experience, so you naturally become better.
Yeah, me personally, I think that what I seen about you was your awareness of the game, like the spatial awareness. Like you knew how to create space. Like I found that very special about you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Did you mature mentally during this time? Would you say?
I think so, yeah, because I was kind of then football was on my own back. I never had my dad involved anymore.
Okay, so it was just you now.
Just me, yeah. So a lot of decisions were made off my own. Well, all my decisions were made off my own back. I did actually have an agent helping me when I went to Huddersfield and Brentford. how that materialised was, so in the summer, so in the second year, in the summer, is this thing called non-league gems, which was run by my previous agent, and he got like a lot of lads together from non-league. He's still doing it now every summer, and we're playing a showcase game. You get scouts to come to the game, and if you do well, you know, you get invited into clubs and stuff. So yeah, I went on these trials, and then I was working with that agent throughout that season.
Yeah.
So when those trials didn't materialise, I think around October, November, he then advised me, okay, maybe you want to try and get into like step 3. Obviously, I was still only 17 then, and try and make my way up that way.
Yeah. So would you say at this moment you stopped chasing hype and focused on growth? You mentioned Solihull Moor's been quite a humbling experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was kind of forced to, really, because I didn't really have a choice. If I could kind of go back into my shoes, then I would have done things differently.
Yes.
You know what I know now.
So you wouldn't have played for? Would you have not played there?
I would have, because it kept me training every day.
Yeah.
But I would have been taking more initiative on getting back to where I should have been, if that meant turning up to clubs, speaking to people, because that's what life is.
Yeah, it must have been humbling, but the system was still good, as you trade every single day and you played on Saturday, which is what you need.
Yeah.
At level. Yeah. So finally, you get to fulfill your dream and you get offered a professional contract with Peterborough. How did that opportunity come about?
So the opportunity came about. So I went to the event again in the second year.
This summer event that you mentioned.
Yeah, this is the next year, the following year.
Yeah.
And I did really well. And Peterborough asked me if I obviously wanted to come in. So I went to Derby first.
Okay.
So I went to Derby with somebody else who was also got selected. We went together. Both did well, but we didn't get anything. Then we went to Peterborough together. He was a year older than me, the other lad.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, I ended up doing a trial with Peterborough where I trained, and I did quite well. And then there was a game, which was a pre-season friendly, but there was a first team player who just signed, who was playing, so there's quite a good turnout. Sir Alex Ferguson was there, because obviously Son was the manager of the first team.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our 21s manager, but the first team manager was obviously involved as well, because this was the first year Peterborough started the 21s, so there was a lot of trialists. So we was 2-0 down at half time. And at this point I had converted myself into like an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
So there was a winger who was doing quite well. And Darren Ferguson's come in the dressing room at half time, and he was like, you know, you lot are like nowhere near it. Like, some of you guys want contracts. Like, none of you gonna get contracts. Like, the only person the only person who's gonna get close to getting something is this other lad called Andrew. So I come up for the second half, 2-0 down. Scored the first goal. Scored the second goal.
You scored the first and the second goal?
Scored the first, scored the second.
Amazing.
Assisted the winner. And then as soon as I did that, I knew I was getting signed.
Yeah, of course.
So I went back to where I was staying, and like I knew I was getting signed.
Yeah. And what year and how old were you around this time?
So I think I had just turned, I think I was 19 turning 20 or 20 turning 21.
Yeah. So when you signed that pro contract, what went through your mind?
I think when I got offered it, it was obviously a proud moment, but I've been offered a pro before and it never materialised. So it was kind of waiting for the pen to actually go to the paper and be registered. It was obviously a proud moment because I've worked, you know, a long, you know, let's say 20 years to kind of get to that moment, which has obviously helped me a lot to where I am today. So yeah, it was a proud moment that was probably overdue, really.
Yeah.
But to finally get there felt good.
Yeah. Did you feel like you finally made it, or was it pressure? Was it still pressure?
I don't think I felt like I made it because I wasn't in the first team.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling, you know, I'm now in the right environment to go and kick on. Because Peterborough's a great club. So yeah.
So what surprised you most about pro football, competition wise?
I mean, yeah, pro football is very demanding. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people who don't want you to do well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mental strength required that I probably didn't have at the time. There's more disappointments than there is success. Those are probably what I'd say.
So you're saying that a lot of people don't don't want you to do well? Would you say that's players, coaches, friends?
I don't think any of this is personal,
Yeah.
personally, but I'd say in football there is like, especially when you're new to a club and you know you've kind of come in with a lot of confidence and you've done well, there is always somebody kind of trying to take your shirt, which is normal. That's football. Or you know, there's always a manager who has a favourite, or you know, different things like that I can dive more into. Yeah.
Okay. So did you get the chance to play any minutes with the first team?
I didn't, but I trained with them a lot at the later stages of my contract, where I did quite well. But I never played. No, I never played with them. I played in training games with them.
Yeah.
But I never played. I never made a first team appearance.
So what was it? Was you playing for under 23s or was it under 21s? How was their system?
Yeah, it was 21s.
It was 21s there. Okay then. How ruthless is it behind the scenes at pro level?
It's ruthless. It's something that I feel if you've got somebody good in your corner who can kind of tell you exactly where it's at, that helps. I don't know if the people in my corner at the time had that knowledge, but everyone was at a different stage of their journey. Whereas now, from what I know, my advice to myself probably would have been different. But that's nothing against the people who were looking after me at the time, because I've got a lot of time for them. So, yeah.
Would you say you was getting enough game time with the reserves?
Yeah, I think I had a fair shot at it, to be fair. I was training with the first team when I first went in, and I had an injury which kept me out for my first proper injury for 5 weeks, which really in the grand scheme of things is nothing. But I struggled to recover from that, because transitioning from obviously kind of part-time football to full-time professional football was difficult in itself, and then to get back fit after that layoff was tough. But yeah, I'd say yeah, it's a demanding environment, and I played a decent amount of games. Probably played 15 games that season out of 25 with the 23s, and then I went out on loan for a period in step 3, which was something I didn't want to do, whereas really it probably should have been something I wanted to do.
At this level, what kind of teams was you playing?
With the 21s?
Yeah.
So my first game was at Ashton Gate against Bristol City. Played against Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. Played against Everton 21s as well. Played against Wolves 21s. Played against Crewe 21s. Played against Burnley. Played against Sheffield United as well. Yeah, probably so.
Play for a lot of good teams, basically. Yeah. So you're starting a lot. You're training consistent with the first team. At this time, do you feel like they had a plan for you?
I'd probably say no, because I was training with the first team in the latter stages of my contract, which would probably advise that they're having a look at me over than having a plan for me. Because if they had a plan for me, I would have already signed my following year.
Yeah.
But to be fair, at Peterborough, they actually left everyone to the end of the season to make decisions. So I'd probably say no. I probably didn't take my opportunity there, to be honest.
Why do you think it only lasted 1 year?
Because normally people sign professional contracts at 17, 18.
Yeah.
I signed my first pro at 19, 20, so I was already a year above where I should have been. So when it come to the end of my contract, they said to me, if you was a year younger, we probably would have kept you, but I think I was 20 or 21 at the time. And by then you need to kind of be in the first team at that age.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question again. If you could relive one moment being pro, what moment do you remember at Peterborough?
If I could relive one moment at Peterborough, I'd probably say my trial game, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because scoring 2 and assisting for the final goal.
Yeah, and obviously Sir Alex being there.
Yeah. So he watched you.
Yeah.
Okay. You must have felt proud, innit? Yeah. So going from club to club, who was the best player you've ever played with?
I'll probably have to say probably a list of 5, because I don't want to upset anyone if they watch this. But I'd say, so one of my closest friends when I was at Cagliari, Andrea Carboni, he played a lot of games in Serie A. So he's played 100 in Serie A for Cagliari. Then he played a few for Monza. He's at Monza now in Serie B, top of Serie B.
Yeah. That's one.
I'd probably say Emmanuel Fernandez, obviously at Rangers now. I met him at Peterborough. He's a good player, got a lot of potential, probably going to play in the Prem. I've trained with Jude Bellingham, obviously, when I was trialing at Blues. You know, I can't not say him because he is top.
He is top.
I've played with a lot of players. So tough.
So we say them three basically.
Yeah, I'd say them three. And there was a few good players at Brentford as well when I was training there, who were exceptionally good. Reece Cole, he's at Exeter, he's top. And I'd probably say fifth. I'd probably say I've trained with obviously with the first team. So Sammy Smodics, who plays for Ipswich, he's a good player.
Yeah. If you could compare yourself to a professional footballer playing right now on TV, who would you say you play like?
I think my play style is quite unique.
Who do you watch before your games?
I normally watch my own clips, to be fair, before games, but I mean, I'll probably say I'm a bit of a similar frame. Obviously, Prem, yeah, I'm not at that level, but
yeah.
I'll probably say I'm a similar frame, not as quick, but quite similar to probably Ekatika or someone like that.
Okay. Who's someone that's made it and you knew that was going to make it?
Who? I'll probably say Andrea, to be fair, at Cagliari, yeah.
Yeah. And what did you say? Where's he at right now?
He's at Monza.
Okay. And what, you still in touch with him?
Yeah.
All right, though. So since then, you've been playing non-league football. How do people misunderstand that level?
I think non-league football, there's just such a big misconception around a lot of things.
Yeah.
People obviously, especially Europeans and obviously me being Malaysian, a lot of, Asian countries, they think because it's the 6th division or the 7th division that this is like Sunday League, which obviously we all know it's not.
Yeah, of course.
But I think, there's obviously a lot of misconceptions about non-league football. I'd probably say that's the biggest one. Yeah.
Well, do you like the structure of non-league football from going academy, from West Brom, Cagliari, Sporting Lisbon? Do you like the structure of a non-league?
I don't mind the structure. I think if you've got something going on outside of football, that helps. I don't mind the structure. I mean, I wouldn't mind another training day, so I don't have to do my own things. But
yeah, that's what I don't like about non-league football. The fact that you can only train twice a week and then play on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for the development of a player. Do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I know in Italy, down to the 5th tier, they still train probably 3-4 days a week.
That's how it should be, personally, I think.
But England's obviously not like that.
Would you say it's because of the fundings? Or would you say...
It's strange because obviously in Italy they pay less, but they train more. So it's just a culture thing, I think.
Okay then. And how different is non-league football compared to the academy system? Obviously we know they train less, but how different is it?
Yeah, I think it's different. It's there's less time for development. It's more about results. It's more about your reputation. There's a lot of challenging experiences in non-league. There's not as much continuity. So if you want to kind of give up, you can just, if I didn't want to play tomorrow, I could just stop going, kind of thing.
Who do you play for? Sorry to interrupt you.
I was at Stourbridge.
Yeah. And how long you been there for now?
I've been at Stourbridge probably about 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. And how many appearances have you had already?
I think I've played 6 games for them. We've had obviously a few weeks for the games being called off because of the weather and stuff. But yeah, it's gone well.
Mentally, how hard is it for you to keep the belief alive?
I think everything's just about being realistic, really. Then you can't be disappointed. So I think I kind of know where I'm at with what I want to do and kind of where I realistically see myself going with football. So I think the mentality thing, it's just, it's obviously a good thing combined with work. And if I can take it to a level that I'm happy with, then, ultimately that's kind of, a success in for what it is. Do you know what I mean?
So what keeps you going then? Would you say is the passion, the money, the status? What keeps you going?
To be fair, obviously everyone does stuff for money, so I'm not going to lie on camera and say it's not because of the money. But it's not... Doing well in football can bring you substantial money, which can help you have a better future. So I guess that kind of answers that question, but also just for the moments as well. Being able to play in front of a crowd, which is why I've not ever dropped down lower than the level I play now, because I don't really enjoy football if I'm not playing in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
and playing for those moments. And
So you like to be showcased. Do you like people watching you?
I like people watching me, but I also like playing with an atmosphere and
Yeah.
kind of being remembered for something.
Does it make you play? Does it make you play better? Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back, what would you change if anything? Looking back on your whole career, what would you change? Like, what moments would you change?
Looking back, I'll probably change having the right advice in terms of when I had interest from Portugal when I was at West Brom, because you could have used that as leverage instead of kind of jetting off and seeing what happens. I think that's a massive gamble, which is probably ill-advised decisions from my dad. But then I think from the Kidderminster days, I don't have any regrets really going to Italy. That could have probably been managed better, which is where an agent probably could have helped more, which is probably another regret really. And then apart from that, I mean, coming back to England, I probably have another regret in terms of I probably should have turned up with clubs or networked a bit better, put myself in a better spotlight instead of dropping straight to where I went. And in terms of non-league, it's probably just, I've had a number of clubs since I've kind of gone back into semi-pro football. So probably a bit more consistency with staying at one place. I'll probably say that, yeah.
What mistakes do young players make chasing contracts?
I think young players make mistakes in terms of wanting to play for a certain club because the club might be getting promoted or because of the badge on the front of the shirt, for the experiences or what it looks like bringing people to the game. Because there is a difference kind of bringing family to, let's say, where I was previous to Telford United,
Yeah.
where you're playing in a stadium with a name on the back of your shirt, in terms of going to where I was previously, which is like St Ives Town, which is in front of 200 fans and there's no atmosphere. But the most important thing is to be on the field and actually playing. So,
Yeah. What advice would you give academy players who get released?
I'd give academy players who get released advice to just be realistic and to make a plan A and a plan B and kind of make a plan over time, and to avoid disappointment, choose somewhere, go where you're wanted, don't go where you want to go.
Yeah. And how do you define success now?
I think success for me is, kind of just getting up every day, able to be healthy, being able to train, being able to enjoy good moments on and off the field.
Yeah. So you had a chance to work for a football agency for about a year and a half. How did that come about?
So during my time after Peterborough, when I left Peterborough, I obviously dropped into non-league, and I had no options at the time. I wasn't working with an agent at this point. And I met somebody called Ben Markle, who's been my long-standing friend and agent for probably 4 years now. So he was running some summer camps in the Ruby area. So I went there to get fit for the next opportunity. And I said to him, like, look, I don't really want to play step 3. Because I thought I was too good for step 3, which I'm happy to say.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, I've got a connection with Telford United, do you want to go there? So he was like, sign with me and I'll get you there. So I went there, started the pre-season there, did really well. I was playing every game, played in front of Shrewsbury Town, in front of 3,500, played in some big games against Walsall as well, did well. And then obviously bounced around different clubs in non-league, done coaching for him in his coaching business alongside football. And then I had an opportunity to go back full time at a club where I did. However, I ended up leaving that club for various reasons. And then at this point I had nothing. So he said, look, I'm starting a new agency, would you want to work alongside me? And I thought, at first I was like, I had actually a job offer to go into and do some office job.
Yeah.
And I'd been accepted on that. And he said, no, just trust me, like, come and work with me. And I was like, nah, like, but then he just said, nah, trust me, just come on. And since then it's been quite good.
So what is your role day to day?
So my role it's similar to an agent, but I'm not an agent. But I'm in communication with all the players if they need anything, boots, extra training sessions, finding them opportunities in terms of trials and loans and stuff like that. Dealing with parents, finding sponsorships for the players.
Yeah. That's impressive. Huh?
Yeah. That's kind of it, really.
So were you surprised by how much work happens behind the scenes? So from being a player to being an agent, or not a full agent, but an agent.
I think our business model is quite full on because my manager is so demanding and has very high standards, and he's very motivated by work, which I think does give you a good drive. But I'd say I think there's not many agents or agencies who are doing as much, or from what I've worked with previously, that do as much as my current guy does for the players at the moment.
Okay.
In
So
truth,
how much power do agents really have, would you say?
I think agents do have power. I think agents are important. And if there's one who's got the right intentions in mind, then those are the best people to be with.
Okay. And have you ever seen talented players miss out for reasons that had nothing to do with their ability?
Yeah, I'd probably say one sitting in front of the camera now. And that can be financial situations. So when I signed for Telford, I went in on a lower financial package than what I probably should have.
Okay.
For the opportunity. And then as soon as pre-season finished and players started getting paid, my game time started to get lower. And then when they ended up getting relegated that season, which I believed was to do with I wasn't on as much money as the other players personally. But yeah, that's just football.
So how political is football when it comes to signings?
I think it is political. Look, obviously, if you're the best player in the world or the best number one player in your team, these situations might not happen. I believed I was definitely in the top 5 players at Telford United, to be honest. And I think my teammates can vouch for that. So I'm happy to say that on camera. But unfortunately, the game time was limited there. And when I had opportunities, I took them. So yeah, I'd say that.
Okay, then. If you knew then what you know now, would you have done anything differently early in your career, completely differently?
In terms of non-league?
Yeah,
Well,
for your whole career, like what would you have done differently? Whatever you know now today and being 24 years old.
Yeah, I think in terms of dropping into non-league, I probably would have just saw the season out at Telford, or maybe chose a different opportunity that was offered to me, which is actually with the club that I'm with now. So they offered me to come there, and I turned it down to go to Nuneaton, which was probably a mistake. And then it's mainly just choosing the game time over the badge on the shirt, really, and finding people that you can trust within the game, and kind of having more time to think about decisions, not making rash decisions and stuff like that.
So would you advise a young player, let's say if they're not getting enough game time, would you advise them for them to look for somewhere else or stick at it?
I think it's a tough discussion, because a lot of people say, if you're not playing at, let's say you're not playing, for example, let's say you're not playing in step 3, a lot of people say, why don't you just drop to step 4 or 5 and go and play there? But I think you'll quickly find that if you just do that every time you don't play, you'll quickly be at the bottom of the pyramid, not earning any money. So, and yeah, money is a thing, because otherwise how are you meant to pay for things? So I think it's a difficult discussion. It depends how good you are and how much you back yourself. I've not played lower than step 3 for a reason, because I believe I'm good enough to play this level. I'm not saying it's a good level. I just believe that I don't think I should be playing any lower. But I think people need to realise that it's just a manager's decision. Not everything's down to your ability, or, it doesn't mean if one manager doesn't pick you, then you should drop suddenly to the league below. Because like I said, if that manager doesn't pick you, then what, you're going to drop 2 leagues below and then 3 leagues below. So you have to just take time with your decisions.
Yeah. And one last question. Who would you pick? Lionel Messi or Ronaldo?
Lionel Messi.
Why is that?
Because he's just a joke.
That's it though. Thank you. All right then, well, I just want to say thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. Hope everything goes well for your future. Thank you, Cole.
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
This is Big Shot TV YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.